This is the perfect example of an unfinished road. You'll find it in Cardiff, which is in Wales.
Wales, one of the smallest nations in the world.
More specifically, these bits of unfinished carriageway are part of the A4232, a road that mostly goes around the south of Cardiff, acting as a sort of southern ring road. The intention was for the main carriageway to continue over the roundabout on a flyover, but as we can see, that hasn't happened. A short distance away, we find some bridge supports, supporting nothing, but built for something. Furthermore, this space between the carriageways looks rather suspicious. It's almost as if something was supposed to be built here but wasn't. It was realised in the 1950s that with vehicle ownership on the increase across Cardiff, traffic would very quickly become a problem and something needed to be done. Acting with some urgency, 10 years later, the local council commissioned some bloke with a fancy title to come up with a way to solve this, and his solution was to demolish a load of stuff and stick a load of roads in. But it wasn't perfect, so in 1968 revisions were made, a few roads removed, a few altered, and the end result looked a bit like this. The council absolutely loved it, so started to plan out the construction of these roads and the demolition of 3,300 houses, but don't worry about that. Actually, we will worry about that. Unsurprisingly, local residents were having none of it, and whilst they did manage to construct some parts of the plan, in 1972 the remainder was cancelled due to strong opposition, the construction of the M4 motorway and bureaucratic changes between the government and councils. With that all said and done, somebody within the local council suddenly realised that they had no plan in place for any road building around Cardiff, and the traffic problems weren't going to be solved by the small bits that they had managed to complete. A blind panic ensued and a plan hastily drawn together. Finalising their plans in the late 1970s, the idea was to build a road that would loop around Cardiff from the M4 and link up with the A48 or Eastern Avenue, which had already been built as part of their previous road building adventures. That's it, that was their grand master plan, just one road that would vaguely connect what they'd already built. During the 1980s and 1990s, construction would be carried out on this new road, and upon opening it was numbered as the A4232. But there was a problem. They sort of didn't finish building the whole road and missed out a massive section. It's unclear exactly as to why, but most sources suggest it was due to a lack of funding. What was supposed to happen was the road continuing from our missing flyover as a dual carriageway to the Ocean Gate roundabout, where it would cross the roundabout on a flyover before following the coastline to link up with the A4232 that had previously been built, thus completing the southern bypass of Cardiff. But that didn't happen. They ran out of money and stopped building with immediate effect, and that was that. So it's clear why we've not got a flyover and instead have these leftover and unused bits of carriageway, odd bridge supports, and perhaps unnecessary space between some carriageways. There was supposed to be a lot more road. But that's not the end of the story. Having sat on it for years and just dealt with the crap traffic, finally in 2015 Cardiff Council decided that this road needed finishing. After all, the plans and ideas for this road were conceived in the 1950s, so it was probably about time to get things sorted. Two route options were proposed and the project would be split into two build phases. The first phase would cost £57 million and involve the construction of the Eastern Bay Link Road, a wonderful 1 kilometre long elevated carriageway that would link the Queen's Gate and Ocean Way roundabouts. I'm pleased to say this has solved none of the traffic problems because unfortunately they didn't use the flyover ramps that had been previously constructed. Had they done so, traffic would have been able to have avoided Queen's Gate roundabout altogether and make speedy progress down to the next roundabout where the road comes to an end. Wait, what? Indeed, you may have already noticed that the new Eastern Bay Link Road doesn't really link much at all, and we're missing the promised Phase 2, so the efforts they've made so far to me seem fairly pointless. The real problem with this link road, other than the fact that they've still not finished it, is Rover Way. All of the traffic gets funneled onto this tiny local road, along with all of the trucks and HGVs that serve the nearby industry, making it a complete nightmare. Phase 2 was supposed to solve this. So what happened to Phase 2? Why did they just stop building the road? Again. Well, because they ran out of funding. Again. So they haven't got any money, and to make matters worse, in 2023 the Welsh Government announced that they were putting a stop to all major road building projects because environment. So at the moment it's anyone's guess as to whether the Cardiff Southern Bypass, or whatever it's called, will ever be finished. Thanks for watching.